Your Denver Broncos just made the rest of the NFL insanely jealous because they have a locker room full of dudes that every other team would absolutely kill for, and that's not a homer take. We've got the receipts to prove it, things that never show up on a stat sheet, just examples of this team putting team before self time and time again. When your best players care more about the rest of the guys around them eating than they do about feeding their own faces, this Denver Broncos team is making a deep run in the playoffs. It all started last night. Last night could have been about J.K. Dobbins. He had every right to be like, hey, I'm the first 100-yard rusher since Latavius Murray, since before y'all had even heard of COVID. And what does he use his airtime to do in Spanish of all languages? He says, I don't have much to say. No tengo mucho decir. I don't know. Pero, but Bo Nix is special, right? And it's not just like a one-off, like a cool little Spanish saying. Like, it goes on and on again, where you see this team who has every reason to be feeding themselves care about feeding other teammates. In wide receiver 1, Courtland Sutton. How many other star wide receivers in the league, when it's 21-3 after already having your neck grabbed by the best pass rusher in the league last year, Trey Hendrickson, who had 0 sacks in last night's game because Garrett Bowles just absolutely wiped him off the face of the earth. How many other wide receiver ones would go out and make this block to the ground when you're already up 21-3? Take a look. Courtland Sutton right here at the bottom of your screen absolutely lays out, takes him all the way to the ground. Like a lot of wide receivers wouldn't even get hands on him. He gets hands on him and gets him all the way down to the ground and sets up that first 100-yard rusher since Latavius Murray. He is just built absolutely different. Absolutely love to see that. We see, you take a look at all the sacks that the Broncos had last night. How many of these sacks were set up by others? I take a look. I love this sack here by John Franklin Myers, but notice Zach Allen right here, who doesn't show up on the stat sheet whatsoever for this sack. But you're going to notice here that he has 3 dudes that he ends up eating up, right? So he's got 1, 2, and he's got this running back chipping him. So he's got 3 guys blocking him so that John Franklin Myers can step up and make this sack. That is just, we heard Von Miller talk time and time again how he wouldn't have been the MVP of the Super Bowl that year if it wasn't for all the double teams that Derek Wolfe ate up. It is a team that has to do this kind of thing. We see, again, rookie wide receiver Pat Bryant right up here being the one who blocks Marvin Mims' way in. You could see Pat Bryant be like, hey, I haven't had a meaningful catch yet in this game. Like, I deserve it. And there was a really cool video circling around on Broncos Twitter that had Marvin Mims and Pat Bryant watching this clip together. And Pat Bryant said, like, hey, I knew that if I didn't hit him, he was going to hit you, and I had to do it. So you just got a locker room full of guys who care more about each other than they do about any of their own stats, and it's incredible when your best player on defense is probably also your best hype man. Loving seeing this here, that we see Nik Bonitto just go out and just have some pretty incredible next-gen stats here, that he has the highest pressure rate through the first 4 games since they started keeping track of the stat. Just an absolute wild thing that he is getting pressure on 31% of his snaps. He has every reason to just make everything about himself, and it would be deserved because he is elite and absolutely unblockable. Yet he is the one who's using his Twitter presence today to put up the lock emoji, talking about how great Pat Surtain's game was. Again, this game could have been all about the pressure he created, how he ruined games, and he came out and immediately gets Riley Moss's back unprovoked, not even asked about that. And he talks about, hey, they were going early at Riley Moss early in that game, and he came up to me and he just yelled at me and said, I love this stuff. And so just seeing he is a professional hype man as much as he is a professional quarterback killer, and you love to see that. This is the stuff, it is so uncommon across the NFL to have your best players also be player or team-centric dudes who make your entire locker room better. We've heard that strategy or culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? Culture eats talent for breakfast, and it's not about how good you are out there. It's what do you do for your team to make everybody better? And this Broncos team has that absolutely in spades, because it's not about any of them and how good any of them are. It's about how good they make this team together collectively as a whole. Other thing I absolutely love seeing from last night is that the Broncos were able to just absolutely manhandle this Bengals team who has a ton of offensive talent. Those are the best wide receiver duo we'll face in the rest of the season. Full stop. There's no even argument about that. And the Broncos completely shut them down after that opening drive. And we did it without just completely gassing the legs of a lot of these guys who we're going to need deep in the season. So seeing here that we were able to just be in Jake Browning's head. He couldn't sleep last night because he was having dreams of just this Broncos suffocating defense. And you see that Jonathan Cooper and Nik Bonitto only had to play in 29 snaps that game. and still you're seeing those records. So now as the Broncos go on the road for an 11 a.m. start time in Philadelphia, I think Nik Bonitto and Jonathan Cooper are waking up with pretty fresh legs, knowing that they only had to play in 29 of those snaps last night, and that is just Sean Payton just managed this absolutely perfectly. Here's another example there. Zach Allen does not show up in the stat sheet here, but you're going to watch here on this Nik Bonitto and Jonathan Cooper rush just how quickly they are off the edge. And again, you see a common theme here where there are three guys trying to block Zach Allen so that these other guys have one-on-ones. And so there's some people saying stuff like, hey, where's Zach Allen been since we gave him the bag? He is eating up entire offensive line so that these other guys have one-on-ones and can feast, because one of the most disruptive things for a quarterback is when you have an interior pass rush. And so, a quarterback can always step up and evade an outside rusher, but there's not a ton they can do when that inside of that offensive line is collapsing. And so to have Zach Allen do that is just an absolute phenomenal thing that he does that. He doesn't care about credit. He is just the type of soldier you want for this war that the Broncos are raging. All right, if you've been following the channel, you know that I logged a ton of miles this year in the car, driving out to training camp, driving to different away games, and you know what happens now that I'm 40 years old is my lower back just tightens up very, very badly. So I stumbled upon these two geniuses on YouTube from Minnesota. We're talking, of course, about Bob and Brad. They've got over 5 million followers on YouTube. They are physical therapists who are amazing, and they have this product that has been the secret to my success. It's actually on my lower back through most videos. We're talking, of course, about this EZ massager, which has helped me fight through low back pain, even when I'm logging tons of hours in the car. Plugs in, it's got infrared heat. It just takes out the tightness in my lower back, and it's super portable. I actually have an adapter that lets me plug it in on my actual car. So on that 4-hour road trip to Indy, I brought that thing out about halfway through. And it's not just for lower back. You can position it against a chair and then put it anywhere if you have tightness in your shoulders, up in your neck. You can trust Bob and Brad. They've got 60 years of experience doing this and make a ton of phenomenal product. So check out the link in the description, and thank you, Bob and Brad, for helping my back and for sponsoring this video. Man, the signing of J.K. Dobbins, how he makes it about other people when he is truly elite. This was a phenomenal offseason that, as we see Hufanga just ball out of control, as we see Evan Ingram coming back from that injury in the mix last night with 6 targets, and he showed some flashes of some awesome stuff last night. Obviously, the addition of J.K. Dobbins is just a crucial addition. And I think if he can stay healthy this whole season, the Broncos really have to contemplate, should we give him the bag? Because as of this point, I would say sign this dude up for a 5-year deal because he looks phenomenal. A lot of people are going to write this game off and just say that, yeah, the Broncos won, but it was the Bengals without Joe Burrow. And I would just caution you to look around the NFL and look how hard it is to win any game in the NFL. And all you got to do is take a look at that Bills against Saints game that we saw on Sunday. All we heard was that the Bills are going to the Super Bowl. The Bills are incredible. And they beat the Saints by 12 points and only outgained them by 60 yards. Meanwhile, your Denver Broncos put up over 500 yards on offense. Bo Nix has the best day of any AFC quarterback in the league yesterday. We see that defense there's more penalties that offense had than first downs. Like, the team absolutely dominated in every single way. And that's not what happened when the Bills played the Saints. And the Saints have way less options on offense than obviously the Bengals do, still with Chase and Higgins. So all of that is great. Seeing Bo Nix, all the slander about him having a sophomore slump, I think we can finally stop saying that, as he threw for 326 yards, and you look at his passing chart, and it's exactly what you want to see, that it is distributed everywhere, and he was feeding a lot of mouths yesterday and was putting it all over the field. My favorite throw of the day was definitely the throw here to Marvin Mims up the sideline, but just seeing, man, Troy Franklin comes down with that, and you truly see a perfect pass chart here. It was just a phenomenal thing. Just seeing that we have the best defensive player in football named Pat Surtain. Right behind him is Nik Bonitto, and you're going to all know that by the end of the season. Just seeing what Pat Surtain was able to do against Jamar Chase was absolutely unreal, that he held him to 23 yards, the 4th fewest of his career. Some of Jamar Chase's worst games that he's ever played have been against Pat Surtain. And that 2 of his 4 lowest days ever as an NFL receiver have come against your defensive player of the year, Pat Surtain. Absolutely phenomenal. Other thing that I think makes the NFL scared and jealous at the same time, is we know last year that once Bo Nix figured things out, he was a problem for the rest of the season, and we are starting to see him figure it out. He is already strides ahead of where he was at this time last year, and so if he continues to do what he did last year, and why wouldn't he? He is an absolute robot. People call him the Bobot. He is a super processing machine with a laser rocket arm, and he is not a captain check down. This time last year, he only had 660 yards in the air, and he had 2 touchdowns. This year, he has 861 and 8 total touchdowns. And I think that we have favorable matchups here. We're hitting Sean Payton's winning month. Things are just starting to get even better. We saw Bo Nix had struggled early on in this season against the blitz specifically and against the zone blitz specifically. And you look at how he did last night. He was 12 of 16 when he was blitzed for a touchdown and 11 different first downs. Just a phenomenal effort there by Bo Nix. And seeing again that he is the type of dude that you want. This is Peyton Manning level type leadership out here. Seeing that after the first touchdown of the year for RJ Harvey, what does Bo Nix do? He could have run off the field like he's a franchise quarterback, but what he does, he goes up and gives the rook some love, and then he makes sure that he had picked the ball up off of the ground to give RJ Harvey his first touchdown ball, because that's something that's pretty important you need to hang on to. There's just not other franchise quarterbacks. There's not another quarterback in that draft last year. I could see J.J. McCarthy probably doing that, but Caleb Williams would probably be over putting another coat of paint on his nails. Bo Nix is different. He is your franchise quarterback, and he leads this team in the way that Peyton Manning led this team. I'm loving that. Seeing another type of celebration thing, hyping up other teammates instead of yourself. Jonathan Cooper, even though he had a phenomenal game, and he is he and Nik Bonitto are like the dynamic duo. They're Batman and Robin, and they go back and forth on who's Batman each play. And what he does is he introduces Nik Bonitto to the locker room and to the media around him and says, "Hey, I want to introduce you all to the best pass rusher in the NFL. This is Nik Bonitto." This is a team that doesn't care about individual accolades. They care about each other, and it is just a phenomenal thing. It is why last night was so much fun, not just because the Broncos spanked the Bengals, but because they did it in a way that they celebrated everyone else on the team, and that's why the Broncos are making a deep playoff push, and they're going to be a terrifying out for any team in the NFL playoffs, and that's something we should all believe in. All right, got a couple days to get it back.